Wait a minute. Rednecks in New Jersey? That can't be. Isn't this place just malls, pollution, and Italians yelling in parking lots? Well, that's what most people think. But once you stray too far from the glowing Wawa signs and strip malls, you hit the part of the state everyone forgets exists. The thick woods, the farmland, and the places where the front lawns always look like there's a yard sale going on. Today, we're breaking down the most redneck towns in New Jersey one by one. And if you're from any of these places and feel personally attacked, good. That means we got it right. Bass River Township sits entirely inside the Pine Barrens, which already tells you everything you need to know. This town is so rural and secluded, it feels like it exists exclusively for hiding things. If Tony Soprano needed somewhere quiet to solve a little problem, this is where the GPS would take him. This place is basically a loose pile of pickup trucks scattered around Bass River State Forest like camouflage. Everybody owns a boat, a chainsaw, or a cooler, usually all three, and none of them are for fun. They're not hobbies, they're contingency plans. The Mullica River cuts through town, and it's less a river and more a floating family reunion with poor decision-making. Summer weekends are just canoes, kayaks, and grown men arguing about beer brands like it's a Supreme Court case right before flipping into the water. There are basically no stores, no nightlife unless you count drinking behind sheds, and no reason to be here unless you're fishing, laying low, or pretending you like the quiet. Don't ask locals for directions either. There are no street names. It's all landmarks. Turn left where the tower used to be. If you hit the cranberry bog, you're dead. And Bass River doesn't even have its own police department. If something goes down, they call 911 and just hope a state trooper feels like making the trip into the woods that day.
Bass River is as Pine Barrens as it gets.
Eerie, beautiful, and absolutely not built for outsiders. Just make sure your car doesn't break down, because help is a concept, not a guarantee. Oxford Township is where the New Jersey accent starts sounding like it chews tobacco. This is Warren County, way up Route 31, where the hills get steeper, the driveways get longer, and everyone owns at least one hoodie from a defunct construction company. The whole town is built around the idea that industry used to be here and might come back if we just believe hard enough. You've got old mines, quarries, and the historic Oxford furnace, which sounds impressive until you realize it's basically a monument to how long this place has been dusty and pissed off. Route 31 cuts through town like a parole boundary. On it, you'll find gas stations, auto shops, and houses that all look like they've survived at least one foreclosure and a couple divorces. This is the kind of place where I Almost Moved is considered a life update. Oxford is essentially a former boomtown that never emotionally recovered. Everyone knows where the jobs used to be. Everyone knows who left, and everyone swears they're leaving too. Just not this year, or the next, or ever. This is Jersey Hill country, full of some been-through-some-shit rednecks. The kind that doesn't complain, just squints at you like you're the problem. Elmer is one of those towns where you can smell manure before you see a welcome sign, and nobody's embarrassed by it. This is deep Salem County farm country, where the economy runs on corn, soybeans, and dudes named Mike who treat dirt bikes like therapy. The entire town is stretched along US Route 40, which doubles as Main Street, the drag strip, and social hub. If your truck isn't lifted, people assume you're lost. If it is lifted, congratulations. You're now running for town council. Elmer has that special vibe where every house has either a tractor, a broken down Camaro, or both. Front lawns aren't landscaped, they're outdoor storage units. You'll see boats on cinder blocks, tires leaning against sheds, and grills that haven't been cleaned since the Bush administration. Friday night entertainment is sitting in a parking lot, engines idling, arguing about whose cousin almost made it to NASCAR. And the lake, Elmer Lake, is where people go to fish, drink, and prove Darwin was right. No rules, just vibes, and a strong possibility someone's getting sunburned while holding a bush light. Elmer isn't trying to impress anyone. It's redneck as a lifestyle choice. Stillwater Township is what happens when a town collectively decides, yeah, we're good, and then freezes time. This is Sussex County farm country, where the scenery is gorgeous. The houses are spaced a football field apart, and the Wi-Fi gives up the second you try to do anything ambitious like loading a website. Nothing here is chaotic. It's quiet in a way that feels intentional, suspicious. Like the town side-eyes anything built after 1987. Half of Stillwater looks like a calendar photo. The other half looks like a guy explaining why something doesn't need to be replaced while actively fixing it with duct tape and confidence. Summer life revolves around places like Swartzwood Lake, where people fish, float, and loudly inform their kids that the water used to be cleaner back when nobody tested it. Everyone owns a kayak they never use and a riding mower they die for. The mower gets more maintenance than the house. Entertainment out here is antiquing. Not because it's cool, but because half the town's Facebook Marketplace furniture is one generation from being considered antique. Local roads snake through the Paulinskill Valley like they were laid out by a horse that got bored halfway through the job. Stillwater doesn't hate change. It just doesn't acknowledge it. The world keeps moving. Stillwater nods politely and keeps doing whatever the hell it was already doing. Woodstown is what happens when a town builds its entire personality around tradition and then never checks if that tradition still makes sense. This is old school Salem County, where everyone knows each other and people ask who your parents are before they ask your name. The social hierarchy here is simple. Farmers, former high school athletes, and people who used to be one of those two. Woodstown High School football is basically a religion. Friday nights look like a Norman Rockwell painting, except everyone's holding a Wawa coffee and talking trash about a 17-year-old quarterback. Woodstown likes pretending it's classy. Brick buildings, historic houses, little downtown shops, but drive 5 minutes in any direction and boom, you're at Cowtown Rodeo watching someone named Cody get launched off a bull while his grandma cheers. This is the only town where family-friendly entertainment involves dirt, dust, and medical waivers. The Salem County Fair is like the Super Bowl. Livestock competitions, funnel cake, and teenagers discovering nicotine in real time. If you don't run into your ex, your cousin, or your ex-cousin, you didn't stay long enough. Woodstown is like if someone picked up a town in rural Texas and dropped it in South Jersey. Maurice River Township exists in a gray area where New Jersey laws technically apply, but absolutely nobody's checking. This is deep in Cumberland County where the land is flat, the marshes stretch forever, and the vibe is mind your business and you'll be fine. The town wraps around the Maurice River, which is infested with locals who love crabbing, clamming, and duck hunting. If it involves mud, boots, or something pinching you, people here are into it. Everyone owns at least one pair of waders, and they're considered a fashion statement. Drive toward the Delaware Bay, and things get real quiet, real fast. Marshland, old shacks, busted docks, and dudes who look like they've been weathered by salt air since birth. These are the kind of people who never check the weather. They just step outside and decide if it's a hoodie day. This place is basically just woods and random clusters of houses that look like they were built after someone gave up and said, yeah, this spot's good enough. Recreation means bonfires, target practice, or sitting near the river drinking something out of a cooler that's older than you. Maurice River Township is swampy, low-key, and slightly threatening. Sandyston Township is so far northwest it feels like New Jersey wishes it were part of Pennsylvania. This is in Sussex County, right up against the Delaware, where the scenery is gorgeous, the population is tiny, and the lifestyle is aggressively unplugged. This is the kind of town where people don't go out, because going anywhere requires a 25-minute drive down US Route 206. Everyone here owns either a Jeep, a pickup, or something from 1994 that refuses to die out of spite. Sandyston is basically swallowed by Stoke State Forest, which means hiking, hunting, bonfires, and long philosophical debates about whether the bear sighting was a bear or Bigfoot. Cell service is optional. Quiet is mandatory. The Delaware River just sits there along the edge of town, quiet and unimpressed, like it's seen enough people already. Nobody's rushing anywhere because there's nowhere important to be. There's no reason to linger here, just long stretches of woods, big lots, and the kind of neighbors who wave at you not to be friendly, but because you might be the only other living person they see all day. Sandyston is so remote, it's the kind of place that disappears the second you stop paying attention. And it likes it that way. Woodland Township is another Pine Barrens town, the kind of place that feels abandoned until you see a kid on an ATV cutting through the woods. This town doesn't have neighborhoods, it has forest clearings. If your house has a streetlight nearby, congratulations, you live in the city. Most of Woodland operates out of Chatsworth, which exists mostly as a post office, a couple buildings, and a strong sense of don't ask too many questions. This is cranberry and blueberry country. The bogs stretch forever, and everyone knows someone who used to work the harvest and still talks about it like a war story. The landscape is all dirt roads, scrub pine, and random paths that absolutely look like they lead to nowhere. Because most of them do. Others lead to things you weren't supposed to find. Recreation out here is hiking, target practice, or driving until your GPS gives up and starts panicking. Locals don't hang out at bars or restaurants. They hang out at locations. A sand road that's always busy for no visible reason. A clearing with fresh tire tracks and no explanation. A stretch of woods where everyone swears nothing ever happened, which is how you know something absolutely did. Nothing out here is loud, flashy, or in a hurry. And if you show up acting like it should be, you're the weird one. Port Republic feels like a town that should have disappeared years ago, but just didn't. This is in Atlantic County, tucked off Route 9, where the road narrows, the houses spread out, and everything starts smelling faintly like low tide and diesel. The Mullica River basically serves as the town's only infrastructure. Boats parked like cars, waiters hanging by the door, and neighbors who can tell you the tide, the weather, and whether the river's up or down without ever checking a phone. Time out here isn't measured in hours, it's measured in tides. Port Republic doesn't really have a downtown. It has a few buildings that collectively decided to stand near each other. Most social interaction happens on porches, docks, or while yelling across yards about weather, football, or the Friday night clan meeting. Despite being fairly close to some larger towns, it still feels like a place you only reach if something went slightly wrong with your directions. Cars pass through slowly, not because of traffic, but because everyone's quietly double-checking they're supposed to be here. It's not on the way to anywhere, it's not trying to grow, and it's perfectly fine being a footnote on someone else's route. Franklinville is where Gloucester County officially stops being suburban. This is where the loudest thing on the block is always a motor. The cleanest shirt is saved for court or weddings, and hobbies are measured in horsepower and bail money. The town revolves around Route 47, also known as Delsey Drive, a road where the speed limit is technically posted but always ignored. Every third vehicle is either a lifted pickup, a clapped-out dirt bike, or a teenager riding something with wheels that is definitely not street legal. Franklinville has mastered the art of the front yard flex, above-ground pools year-round, Confederate flag mysteriously for heritage, a garage that's never held a car, just ATVs, scrap metal, and one chair exclusively for smoking Marlboros. This is a volunteer fire department town, which means half the local dudes own turnout gear and treat the siren like a bat signal for socializing. Nothing brings the community together like a controlled burn and a cooler full of light beer. If you hear revving at midnight, don't worry. That's not crime. That's recreation. And that's our list, the 10 most redneck towns in Jersey. If you're watching this from a condo, a townhouse, or anywhere with fiber internet and 3 coffee shops on the block, just understand there's a version of New Jersey that exists completely outside that bubble. It's quieter, rougher around the edges, and absolutely uninterested in your opinion.